What is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
And I'm Andrew.
And this week, we've got a bunch of interesting mega company stuff to talk about.
Fair.
We have some Metaverse thoughts, and we have a video out on the Metaverse now. We can dive into the weeds on that. We can go into some smartphone features that we might miss, a little bit of a game, I hear. And then also, we're going to wrap it all up with everyone's favorite trivia, so be sure to wait till the end. But first, can Elon turn Twitter into an S-tier social media platform?
So I have like two things to talk about. Do you want to go straight off of your tweet on Twitter platform?
I guess that's a good place to start.
Cool. So you tweeted, was it last night?
It was last night.
I guess first we have to just mention, just in case you haven't heard, Elon has bought Twitter.
Good, useful background information.
Yes.
There's lots of social media platforms out there. Twitter, publicly held company, had a bunch of leadership. Elon Musk swoops in, buys Twitter.
I don't know if it would. He swooped multiple. It's very confusing. There's a reason we haven't really covered it because it's been all over the place.
Complicated, yeah.
Yet there would be days where we would think about talking about it and then we didn't. And then the next day everything changed. So it's hard. Even some of the stuff today, we're recording on Tuesday. What we say today might not be true on Friday.
There's a pretty good chance that this episode comes out and there's something else that happened.
Imagine Elon's not even the owner by Friday. It wouldn't be surprised.
As of this recording, he walked in with a sink and said, "Let that sink in." And I think we're just going to go ahead and say he's in. He's in.
He's in.
He's doing things. But really, my question. So I tweeted last night. YouTube is maybe it's a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take. I didn't actually think it was that hot of a take, but it got some reactions. YouTube is still the only S-tier social media platform.
I don't think it's a hot take. We've talked about it before, and we agreed. I think the reason it felt like a hot take there is because you posted it on Twitter, and then like when you post it on a site, that site will probably defend it. And rightfully
if I posted it on Instagram, I'm pretty sure Instagram fans would have said, "Hey, this is not so bad out here."
No one would have seen it because there would have been 40 suggested posts before it, and no one would have.
They would have left the stories because Reels and instant ads would have gotten in the way. I guess I'll just explain why I said it, which is like, obviously I've been making YouTube videos for a long time. There's a bunch of different perspectives that make a platform or a social media site S-tier for me. It has to be from the viewer platform. There's lots of content. It has to be from the creator side. Lots of tools, lots of advertising revenue opportunities and things like that. And they all sort of merge together into like a place that people actually enjoy spending time and using it. Twitter's pretty good, but like much fewer people use it, and it doesn't have nearly as many good, useful tools, especially if you're trying to build a business on it. That's one of the things I consider important for a social media platform. Facebook, we all know about that. Meta's creation used to be very highly thought of, and now is sort of a this is people my age would say. Yeah. It's a background account you don't delete because you still only know certain people through what they post on Facebook.
Exactly.
Like family members and stuff. There's Instagram. We know what that is. There's TikTok. We know what that is. There's Snapchat. Maybe a little underrated, but we know what that is and what it was. BeReal. Have you used BeReal?
We've used it in the office before, but it was months and months ago, so it was very buggy. It seems like it's fixed some of it, and part of me wants to start with some of the people in the office again. Okay. I do know people that use it. I do think I've said before, I actually think it's a really good idea. It feels like what Beam could have been.
Right.
I actually think it's really cool. But again, I think Instagram or TikTok or someone have already tried to steal it, and they're going to steal it.
TikTok's giving me notifications already to start posting.
If I were BeReal, I would get acquired right now so they don't turn into like Clubhouse, which should have gotten acquired, but they didn't. And now who cares?
That's the argument. Remember that question, that age-old question? Is it a feature or a platform? Clubhouse, turns out it's a feature. It was a feature. It's just built into 7 other things now.
Yep. But I don't want to stray too far away from here because I kind of wanted to focus this on Twitter. And while we don't, first of all, what tier would you put Twitter in if YouTube's S tier?
Good question. Current Twitter is C tier.
Okay. I hard agree with you on that one.
Middle.
I would love to disagree, but I think we're both kind of on the same page here. And I think let's say some hypotheticals of what we think could make Twitter S tier.
Yeah, so like Elon being a part of it now has a lot of people hoping things are going to change with it.
Yes.
Keep in mind, it's still a public company, still has to like try to run as a business and make decisions that float it as a company and maybe make money someday.
Yeah.
So that's still going to have to happen in the background. But yeah, I think one of the things we hope to see more is, well, I'm going to say more features just as like a blanket thing. Like Twitter has started a super simple. You would just text it and it would post for you, and it had to be 140 characters or less. Now there's photos, now there's videos, now there's polls and all sorts of things. And obviously you can follow people. Maybe there's more features to Twitter. Maybe that sort of work in the Twitter sphere. Trending topics and being a video platform can evolve. Like we have Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Twitter is just kind of like, you can upload videos, yeah. And if you find like you follow people who upload videos, then that's the only way you'll see videos, but maybe they can surface videos more than just trending topics. Yeah, I don't know. That's sort of the base stuff that comes out of my head.
Quick side note, Twitter's a private company now. Not
Are they
It's
actually?
still trading.
Elon bought them, and
It's still trading on the. Is it actually?
It was taken off Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's a private. Either way, it doesn't matter. They got to make money.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. And we're saying they have to make money, knowing that Elon has already tweeted like, Twitter's, I'm not buying this to make money. Like, sure, he can say that as many times as he wants. Ultimately, even if he doesn't want to like make record profits with it, in order to keep it alive, it has to make money. And that's something we'll talk about in a couple minutes, because there's a few other things he said that we want to talk about. But right now, if we're talking about what Twitter could do better, I like your idea of features. And when I think of videos, like I wouldn't want it to go straight into like Reels and like, swiping through a million videos at a time. But it would be really cool if somehow like popular tweets that you were looking at that had a lot of engagement, or even popular videos that were in those tweets had some sort of like, I could see suggested videos that are similar to it of other tweets that are on the platform, being able to very quickly go into other sides of the platform to see what other people are thinking.
Yeah. That's like an old YouTube thing. Like you finish a video and more video suggestions pop up. Related videos. That's a super obvious one. And also, what was I was just about to say something. Oh, spam.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's like so much of there's obviously a spam problem, and maybe we'll talk about the verification thing in a second, but the problem of like a popular user tweeting and then a bunch of impersonating accounts also swooping into the replies and scamming people, that would be nice if it was less rampant. YouTube's had to deal with this too. They've done a really good job.
Lately. Like it took them a little while. It took some poking.
It took enough of like YouTuber creators speaking up about it. I made a video just about comment spam, but as of today, it's much better than it was. So they eventually got around to figuring it out, and they continue to evolve because, spammers don't just sit still. They're going to try to figure out better ways to get around it.
Exactly.
So, there's something to that.
Yeah. But I would say real quick, one more, like ultimately, and this is something that's not going, I don't know how they're going to solve it, but I think the biggest issue with Twitter is just, it is seemingly one of the smaller social media sites in terms of active users, and it has to grow somehow.
It's really weird. It is true that it has a small user base of people relative to the other giants. Like if you compare it to YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, Instagram. But it seems like everyone important is already on it.
I think that
makes sense.
The thing is, it almost feels to me like the people who are on it are people trying to follow other people that they are either like fans of or want news from, or like so I'm on it because the tech space right now, I like to follow everyone in tech, but then I'm also making sure I'm following a lot of publishing things like The Verge and all the other tech blogs, and it feels like I'm trying to like just keep tabs on different people, influencers, like large creators, conversations pretty much, or what they're thinking. It's like a personal thing almost.
Right. But less like people you know in real life.
But there is very few people I know in real life that I'm conversing with there. It's because those people I have, those are Facebook, those are Instagram, stuff like that.
Like normally I would say that that's how you get more people to get onto a platform, is you need to get more of the like big publishers and like interesting people to join so that it makes regular people want to join. But it seems like instead of like maybe Facebook, for example, let's say all your friends are on it, but you don't really care about following the New York Times on Facebook. if you think of like any publisher, they have a Twitter and they tweet all their stuff.
That's what I like.
And if you think of any, almost any celebrity or politician specifically, they all have a Twitter and they all tweet stuff. And then regular people quote those tweets and share those tweets, and those tweets become news. And like when an earthquake strikes somewhere, the first place I find out about it is like, boom, 7 new tweets showed up at the top of my timeline. They're all people from the same area that felt the earthquake. Like that's how breaking news happens usually in my world. So I'm like, a lot of people use Twitter, but it still is, it has this like this outsized relevance relative to its actual like amount of people using it.
Yeah. I mean, we also like in our space, Twitter's super popular in the tech world, just like, and the creator world as well in general, or maybe not even in the creator world as much. There are a lot of people that I follow that aren't in tech that don't have Twitters, which is kind of crazy to me. But I do, like you said, the kind of like live, super fast-paced updates is what I like about Twitter, and I think that is better for people who are kind of like enthusiasts. Like, say you're a New York Times reader. If you just read it every once in a while, maybe you're not on Twitter. But if you read it and have journalists on the New York Times that you really like, you're probably on Twitter, so you can follow that author and then see their random other thoughts and stuff like that, because you generally think, I like this person's articles, I like their point of view, I would like to see what else they enjoy, maybe some live tweets of, I mean, like, there's people who are live tweeting court cases and stuff like that. You might be interested. There's people who are live tweeting weather events and such like that.
Live tweeting tech events.
Live tweet is awesome. Like, that's what I like, but I think it caters way more to the enthusiast, whereas Instagram's way more just like on a personal level.
Yeah. A tech live event is an interesting thing too, because like an Apple event, let's say, happens. Some people I will see will be live sharing things that happen on their Instagram stories. They're not posting to the feed every 2 seconds when a new thing gets announced, but they're posting a new story every little bit. And that's one way of doing it. A lot of other people that I also see are just like, especially me, when there's like a bunch of announcements and things that are coming out at once, I'm just live tweeting the things that get unveiled. And that's another way to do it. That happens a lot. And then there's like just following a live blog. And I wonder what is the most mass consumer way and what's the nerdiest way on that spectrum. I figure the live blog is actually the nerdiest way, but maybe Twitter live tweets are the nerdiest way.
I think live blog is like the most chronological way of doing it, because Twitter then, like when you are live tweeting an Apple event, if like the Apple Watch Ultra comes out and then 20 minutes later, I don't know, maybe they just announce the regular iPhone 14, like the Ultra thing is going to be on chronologically above it because it's going to get so much more engagement. But that engagement and the conversation that happens is probably not happening in a live blog. And I kind of think the nerdier enthusiast people like to have those conversations underneath it, which is why I love Twitter so much.
Yeah, a tweet shows up, and then right underneath it is all of people's public reactions to it, comments to it, replies, quote tweets, people getting ratioed left and right. All of it's happening right there in front of you, and you can just choose to just jump in anywhere and just engage with it.
Yep.
Other than if it was an Instagram story, you wouldn't see any of that. You would just see the image and then click, and move on. If it was a live blog, you would just see the post, click, move on. Having the, I mean, I guess you could post on Facebook and have comments, but
I would say Twitter in terms of like, but Twitter has a better conversation engagement platform, if that makes any sense, but compared to like YouTube, and Instagram is the worst to attempt to like see an actual conversation happen in the comments. It basically is impossible.
Well, you can't even have a conversation.
You can reply
to a comment, and that's kind of it.
And it's a total mess. Chaos. Same with TikTok. It's like Twitter at least has some form of threading, and I think like Twitter is like the faster paced Reddit and maybe like slightly slower Discord if you can't physically be like at your computer just like straight up typing in a live chat.
Yeah.
Which I think is the best part about Twitter ultimately is being able to have some of those conversations.
All right, so a rumor I guess has come up that's kind of been confirmed maybe, that, or at least replied to, that maybe one of the ways Twitter will try to make money is they will start charging people for Twitter verification. Now, I don't know about all the details of this. I assume you can't just hand them $20 and get a blue check. That wouldn't make any sense.
That's what I want to talk about.
I believe you will have to complete the verification process and also pay, which there's a bunch of verified users on Twitter. It's not enough to like turn a profit, but it is some money, which is interesting. Would you pay for Twitter verification?
First, let me quickly go over like how we got to this point, like what was happening on Twitter so we can discuss what is a rumor and what we're like speculating on.
Okay, yeah.
So essentially, I believe it was Casey Newton reported that Twitter was thinking of the idea of charging people $20 a month to be verified. So that report comes out, lots of conversation happens. And the reason I think we can think that this is correct knowledge is because, first of all, there was a poll that someone said, how much would you pay to be verified and have a blue check mark on Twitter? $5 a month, $10 a month, $15, or wouldn't pay. 80% of people said wouldn't pay. And then Elon responded, interesting. Probably not the numbers he wants to see.
But that's also those
That's a million votes, too.
That means most of those people aren't verified, and of course they
very
wouldn't
good
pay.
chance for sure. And then after that, somebody else was complaining about paying $20. I think it was Stephen King, the author, was talking about not paying $20 a month.
So Twitter, okay.
And then Elon responded, "We have to make money somehow." Which again, for everyone way back there who may have said like Elon doesn't care about money, like they have to make money somehow. He literally said it on Twitter. He said, "How about $8 a month?" And then explains that after that he replied again along the lines of
negotiating in the comments.
Basically negotiating in the comments of a Stephen King tweet.
They're just going to keep bargaining you down. They're never going to stop. They all said zero, by the way.
Yeah, so that's why we're at this like pretty confirmed that this was at least talked about and high up enough that Elon's thinking about it. So I think it's a reasonable thing to think might happen. Now, like you said, we don't know. Is that going to be, I pay $20 a month, I get a blue check mark? Is that going to be, I'm verified already, I pay $20 a month? How do people get verified after that?
Yeah.
All of that stuff is kind of up in the air, and we're definitely speculating on. But first of all, I can't say this. You asked me, would I pay $20? I'm not verified. I could say no, but it doesn't really matter at all, right?
Because I think as a person that's verified and uses the verified features and appreciates the verified tab where like you can see other verified notifications as a like subset of your notifications, and also as someone who gets impersonated quite a bit on the internet, I would pay a lot more than $20 a month to make sure I'm the only MKBHD verified on Twitter. I don't want other people to be able to be verified on Twitter as MKBHD or as Marquez Brownlee. I would pay.
$20 a month is more than Netflix. It's so much more than so many other things that offer so much more than that.
That's the thing. So we keep saying like there's all these things, there's all these people on Twitter, but there's also all these organizations on Twitter. How much would the New York Times pay to be verified?
I would be super down to make organizations pay for a blue check mark.
Sure, but then you have to like distinguish. We an organization? Is MKBHD an organization? Is a small publisher with
I think
3 people?
your Twitter is not an organization. If we made it into an organization, like
would
the
studio have
would
to pay more than me because it's an organization?
Here's the thing. There are journalists out there who are not making enough money that should be verified, that are accurate representations of media that should be verified, and asking $20 a month is ridiculous.
They should have whoever they're a journalist for pay.
There are plenty of news, and I think there are way too many like independent media organizations that they are barely surviving, and $20 a month is pretty brutal for verification on Twitter. I just don't agree with it at all. I think there are places where maybe it should be paid for, maybe big organizations, but again, you have to draw the line, which makes it so much more complicated. And
yeah, that's hard.
It's just like I know people like Isaac has started his whole thing with Tangle, and he was verified due to being a journalist before. But when he decided to take that leap and like go make his own website so he could do like independent news journalism, asking him to immediately start paying $20 a month it's rough.
Yeah, it depends on what you're paying for already. I think there's a lot of things that you have to weigh it against. Like, does being verified get you anything, or is it worth anything to you at that point? Or if you're just getting started, maybe you don't have being verified on your priorities, but when you start to grow, then you get impersonated more, and then you start to think, I do actually want to be verified and have to go through the process now. That's like tough. A question.
It's definitely a question. What does verification matter? I mean, like, I'm not verified. I don't care that much. Sure, I would love it. Sure. At this point, I just want it before if they make you pay $20, so then I can not pay for it and say, hell yeah, I didn't pay
grandfathered in.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, they're definitely not going to grandfather us.
I don't think so. I don't know. It's a tricky situation. But also, on top of all of this, I just want to throw out there that one of the things Elon has mentioned multiple times is that he wants to authenticate all humans on Twitter, which if that were to happen, why does verification matter at all?
Authenticate all humans on Twitter. So just make sure everyone that has an account and is a human has to prove they're human.
I know where you're going with this already, but in terms of just verification right now, would that ultimately null it out? Like, why do I need to be verified if Elon is already verifying me as a human by being on Twitter?
Oh, just by being on Twitter at all? You can't be on Twitter if you're not a verified human. I guess
he's the one who said, I'll find the exact
I guess if you're the owner of Twitter, you would like to make sure that there's no bots on Twitter. You'd like to make sure that there's no spammers, people making tons of accounts that go around and spam comments, replies, impersonating people. You don't want that to happen on Twitter. So those accounts should not have a verified check mark, but also, those accounts should not exist in a dream world. But I guess that's two different levels of security. Like, number one, if you have the verified check, you're definitely a human. And then if you don't have the verified check, you might be a human. And we're working on getting rid of the ones that aren't humans. I guess that's the tiers.
Yeah.
It's, spam accounts, people, and then definitely people or brands, whoever else is verified. I don't know.
Do you think that your Twitter account is going to get plugged into the sort of Tesla sphere of things in the same way that if you have a Prime account, you can use it when you check out at Whole Foods?
I think that there's an inevitable crossover, yeah. So there's been some sort of visions of the future of what a Twitter account might be, which might be more than just a Twitter account. It could be an account that's connected to, other services you use, to your bank, to your groceries. I don't know. There's big companies that do things like that. That would be one way to get a lot more people to use Twitter if there's real utility to having a Twitter account. But
it's something Elon's mentioned before. I forget. I want to say it was an interview with, what's that one Tesla blog? Not Teslarati. Why can't I think? I don't know. He's had an interview and he said he essentially is like, we don't have a WeChat in the US. WeChat runs everything in China.
Yeah,
that's also I would like to do something. Listen, I am throwing maybe not an exact quote, but very similar. So, but similar to what you're talking about is it would turn Twitter into something with far more features and an everyday life kind of thing. And you trust me, what you thought is exactly what I thought.
That okay. So that idea, but not run by the government, if it's actually good, is something that people would pay for. Theoretically, if it's actually a useful commodity account,
I think paying for it would. Oh man, we're really in the weeds.
Like people
I love it, but it's
YouTube Premium is what, $14 a month or something like that, just to have access to the content. Netflix is $13 a month just to have access to the content. Hulu is whatever it is. Twitter Blue,
YouTube's not access to content. It's like ad-free access.
Right.
To content.
Access to ad-free content, but there's a little tiny bit of premium content or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess the idea would be to build up as much interesting, useful features on Twitter as possible that you could actually get people to want to pay for.
And I think that's a much better way of going for making money than I think a regular verification process. Verification should be, I don't know if I necessarily want to use the term trustworthy news sources, but like news sources that could potentially be duped, and like making sure that you're following the correct person in those sources. And it doesn't always have to be news, but just like, somebody that somebody would want to follow, making sure they're the correct person.
Yeah. I guess I always thought like verification for me was always just about being impersonated. That was always number one
that's
thing.
pretty much what we're that's why I don't want to use the term trustworthy, because there are plenty of people who are
there's plenty of morons that can be verified.
Your words, not mine.
You're verified. You're definitely that moron. You're the only one that can say you're that guy.
But as long as there's not a bot moron trying to scam you.
I'm the real moron, not the bot moron. No, I think my rule number one on the internet, as I've always come back to saying, is don't charge people for something that was previously free. So if you're Elon and you're listening to this, coming up with new things to add value to Twitter and having people pay for those will be much better accepted than trying to go, hey, that verification thing that we've already been running for free, we're going to make people pay for that now. That's the general
for sure
rule number one.
That I'll totally agree with. I actually think editing tweets in Twitter Blue is like one of the better things they've done recently, because I do think if you want to talk about things verified users could use, why make them pay for their verification? Why not give them a bunch of really great tools that they can just pay for monthly?
I think it's basically their hack of going like, we don't really know anything that we could guarantee a lot of people to pay for, but we know we already have a lot of people enjoying being verified. And they're just trying to like loop that into the thing that people pay for.
I still don't think they'll do it, but that part is what scares me about it. Not confirming that it can't just be like, I'll pay $20 a month, give me that blue check mark.
Yeah.
Because if they just want to make money immediately, which I don't think that's the course they're going.
Ruin the plot. Everyone is verified on Twitter.
It would literally be the exact opposite of fixing spam bots. It would just imagine how many fake Elon Musks there could be.
Yeah, and they're all verified now because they'll have $20 a month to spend on scamming people.
So again, I don't think that will be it, but I'm worried about if it's a money play, that would be the fastest way to make money.
Yeah,
and that would
usually
terrifying.
the fastest way to make money is not the best way to make money.
Can I put in my 2 cents here?
No.
Yeah.
One, I love Twitter bots.
You love Twitter bots.
There are some very useful, fantastic bots.
Oh, okay. I thought this was going to be a hot take about Twitter spam.
Oh, no, spam sucks.
Yeah.
But there are some genuinely useful bots.
I agree.
So if he gets rid of all bots, that's a problem.
That's a good point. Yeah, being only people on Twitter is not Twitter. There are lots of things on Twitter that are not people, that are really cool parts of Twitter.
That's what I thought you were going to go to before when I said, I know where you're going with this. The authenticating part also means there are a lot of really fun whatever accounts, business accounts, parody accounts, just helpful Twitter bots that can point you in the right direction to something. Like
it's part of Twitter.
It's part of Twitter. You're literally killing part of Twitter if you take that away.
And the other thing is with super apps, you think people will actually use a Twitter app that has everything built in? I feel like Instagram tried and we all complained about how much crap is in Instagram.
That is a whole different subject. I think it is going to be very hard to do here in the US because like you said, no one wants it to be government run, but making it government run is what would force everyone.
Would you
to
rather
use
it be government run or run by one guy?
I'd rather neither. I'd rather
that's the choice, I guess.
Ditch all my credit cards and pay in cash again, which I hate doing.
It's already rough enough being like, I use an Android phone and wow, all these Google services work so well together and oops, my life is now completely in Gmail, Google Calendar, and all these other services that one company runs. Having a super app run by one company that also one guy who's a little rogue sometimes could really mess up.
That was the nicest way of putting that.
Not the best
No,
feeling.
It would be terrible.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. I guess we'll leave it at that. Don't charge for things that were previously free. That's probably
and also Marquez will pay upwards of $500 a month for Twitter
verification. This is true. I wasn't going to say it, but now that it's out there, I would pay an
what's your number? What's your upper limit
of
like? What is it worth to you?
Are you asking just for verification?
Yeah, just verification.
Verification, it wouldn't be very high, but like just to have my Twitter account and use it, it would be very high.
What would you think of a one-time price?
This is bad. Okay.
$20 a month. $20 a month is ridiculous.
To be verified?
Yeah. I think that's crazy.
I think you have to taste it first.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty worth it.
I don't think so.
Well,
maybe a tiered version, and like depending on how many followers you have, make it more expensive. But it's crazy to ask a journalist with 2,000 followers, but 2,000 very loyal followers who really care about that. And
the question is, does that person even need to be verified?
I think there's always people who could cause harm in the comments.
Impersonating them? Yeah, that's always going to be possible.
Yeah.
I guess my notifications are so chaotic that I do need that filter.
For sure.
It is my barometer. So I would pay, personally, $100 a month easily.
God, no.
To keep the filter. And I'm not advocating for that to be the price. I'm saying that's what I would pay.
Doing it for all of you out there so you don't get scammed in our comments. That's what he really cares about.
There are real accounts impersonating me in the comments every day. That's I don't know what that noise was. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. That's my that's kind of it. That's where we're at on Tuesday. Who knows where it'll be by the time this comes out.
I can't wait till this ramble is just completely null and void by the time this releases on Friday.
PDF of new rules on Twitter by the time this comes out.
They pay you $20 a month to be verified.
Perfect.
That's
actually ideal. Let's have it.
Now I
let's
want
have
to be
it our
verified.
way. Yeah, it's great. All right, let's take a quick break, but before that, let's do trivia.
Okay, trivia question number 1. Who are the top 3 most followed accounts on Twitter? 1 point per person.
On Twitter, man.
On Twitter specifically.
We recently did this with Instagram.
Yeah,
no?
Instagram.
And I remember some of those. And
It's so much
Twitter's
different on Twitter.
Tough. Is it, do you think?
I think so.
I don't know.
This is like,
Yeah.
does Kylie Jenner even have a Twitter?
Yeah, for sure.
Does she actually? There's so many of them who don't, or it's weird to see someone on Instagram with like 60 million followers and then you go on Twitter and they have like 1,000.
I think there's people who you don't think of as a Twitter person, but you'll check and they have a Twitter. Like I'm
Kylie
sure,
Jenner does have a Twitter.
How many-
I'm sure
How many
she has
followers does she
25
have?
million followers or something.
40.3 million.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
geez,
something
okay.
crazy. But she's not a Twitter person. But she'll
That's
tweet
crazy.
once in a while. She's the Instagram. Anyway, yeah, I'll brainstorm.
Also, just saying, no producer cam, but producer cam is ordered.
It's happening.
It's a future thing. Let us like
You'll be able
walk,
to see the
stroll into it
sinister,
soon.
the look in their eyes when they read the questions to us and know how we struggle with these.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They dress up really nice as producers too. So you'll
Yeah,
get to
they're
see
both
that
in full
soon.
tuxes like they usually
Oh yeah,
are.
all the time.
Every week.
You'll be able to see the tuxes when we get the studio
cut,
cam.
cut.
Can we hire actors to play us?
With helmets on and they just mouth into the microphone.
You just have metaverse avatars.
Oh wow, that's a good segue. We'll be right back. Support for this episode comes from Klaviyo. If you're watching us right now or listening to the pod, thank you for being a part of the show. It means a lot. Without you tuning in, we'd probably have different jobs, I guess.
You think? What do you think you would be doing if you weren't, making this beautiful content online all the time?
I always figured I would be actually like on the other side of this, where like all the product managers, people working for the tech companies that email YouTubers. Like I'd be in an office building somewhere emailing some Marquez somewhere.
Oh, I hope you do it much better than they do right now.
Yeah, hopefully. But lucky for me, I am a part of this timeline where I'm able to live this dream. If you're a business owner, it's returning customers that help keep your dream afloat. And that's why Klaviyo is here to help your customers stay loyal to you. So Klaviyo is the online email marketing platform that brings all of your customer data into one place. So over 100,000 e-commerce brands work to grow their businesses with real-time data, segmentation, and automations the Klaviyo platform offers. So you can create and send email campaigns, SMS messages, and gather and analyze data instantly. With everything under one roof, you can save money and make more strategic decisions and improve the customer experience. Klaviyo isn't just another marketing platform. It may be the only marketing platform that you need. So it's time you talk to your customers like you know them, because you do with Klaviyo. Learn more at klaviyo.com. That's KLAVIYO.com. All right, welcome back. So who cares about the metaverse?
Yes, a video you just posted on the main channel. Interesting question. Lots of things talked about, but I thought we'd dive a little deeper. I'll throw some of my thoughts out there.
Please.
I think just the metaverse is a super interesting area that obviously everyone's talking about, and
like
I'm
you're trying to
already
be
getting
nice.
scared.
You're
Yeah,
trying
of
to be
talking
nice.
about it. Well, here's the thing. I also want to preface all of this with just like saying that while VR has been getting very popular, I think we can all agree that like the crypto NFT section of the world kind of took over the metaverse for a little while. And I don't think that they have to be together. They're exclusive to one another. Like, so I want to talk about the metaverse that is not including crypto and NFT stuff, because I think it's given it
Sure.
in that sense, I think people are like, screw the metaverse.
Yeah,
I
they get
hate
looped.
everything about it.
They get looped together. It's like the Web3
It's
web.
yeah,
get looped together.
I don't love. I get why people don't like that.
Yeah.
And I want to just talk about like the metaverse is in like a separate universe that's digital that we can be a part of through different factors of AR, VR, whatever's happening.
This video, by the way, was in the works for like over a month, and it had a bunch of different
Way over a month.
Yeah, way over a month. But we had a bunch of different ideas of like how to approach, because we haven't talked about the metaverse in a video.
Yeah.
And it became this like swelling topic of like, it keeps getting talked about. There's more Facebook presentations, there's more VR, we're gonna get more headsets, and maybe the question is just like, what is the metaverse?
Exactly.
And the more we researched this, the harder and harder it was to answer the question, because there are several metaverses by several companies. Maybe it's Decentraland, and there's like 300 daily active users in this one, and there's 400 daily active users in this one, and there's like the Facebook concept of the metaverse, and then there's Horizon Workplaces, and then there's like just VR. What are we even talking about? Like it got really hard to filter it into one video. But eventually, I mean, we did get to play with the headset, the new one, before we saw the presentation. So we got to form our opinions about it. We hear the price, we get the demos, and then it starts to crystallize a little bit, and we're like, actually, this is more just about like one company sort of trying to steer their future into being a platform instead of being built on another platform. Kind of like we saw, Ask App Not to Track from Apple, and a whole bunch of Facebook's ad business taking hits. So like they're looking forward, pivoting the ship, and barreling headfirst towards metaverse stuff.
I do also want to that's the main thing we're seeing though, but like metaverse, the metaverse in general isn't all Facebook and Meta, just because they name themselves very opportunely.
Yeah.
But like there are plenty of other situations. Like Vive has its own. Like there's something called VR Chat years and years ago that you could argue is a metaverse that's way before Facebook even changed their name. So while that's the main thing, but it's also another thing. If you are Facebook, bad reputation right off the bat. Like rightfully so. I totally understand it. So all of these things are being seen very negatively at first, and I understand it. And as coming from someone who kind of thinks the metaverse is pretty stupid right now,
So what is the metaverse, Andrew? And why is it?
It's just like a digital. The easiest way is it's like a digital space that can be accessed, and you can have experiences in it. Oh man,
this is how the video concept
exactly
started.
Yeah. This is months and
what
months
is
ago.
a metaverse? Okay, it's a universe that's digital. Oh well, I guess that kind of is like anything, right? Like Twitter is a metaverse.
It's
so we're
weird.
like, oh, it's a virtual experience, probably that happens in VR, that lives separate from the real world.
I agree with you. I think it has to be like VR based or AR based. Like I think you need to be like, because then is Minecraft
Exactly.
the metaverse, is World of Warcraft the metaverse.
Exactly.
And like you could probably argue, yes, Decentraland, you don't need it. You can go live it, like Second Life, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It is all very confusing.
Yeah.
I think
not a lot of actual definitions and hard lines in the sand, which is why that ended up not being the direction of the video, is trying to define the metaverse.
Yeah, just the dictionary for it is virtual reality space which users can interact with a computer-generated environment and other users.
Sure.
There we go. That's the
You're in a
basic
space in
definition.
VR with other people.
But
Metaverse.
I do think we should focus on kind of what Meta's vision is, because I think that's the most common one right now. And as much as I don't like it, I understand why things are going there. And I do agree that position in the future makes sense.
Yeah.
I do think having more human-like interactions in positions where you can't physically be with each other, I think most people would agree makes total sense.
Yep.
Right. And not only that, like we can all also agree that a video calling experience like Zoom or FaceTime or Teams or whatever, there's a disconnect there. Like it does not, it's great, but it just doesn't quite feel there. And I mean, Apple and Microsoft have been working on things for years to try and help with eye contact and better lighting and center stage and making it feel more personal, but it just always has this kind of disconnect. Mm-hmm. So being able to put on some sort of goggles and to feel like you're transported somewhere with maybe family who lives across the country, or maybe friends who are in another country, like totally different times, whether that's meetings for business and stuff, I think totally makes sense. I think the position we are in now is very hard to convey that to people, because it's this wild jump that you have to make to get to that, and we're nowhere close to it.
That is the main point, I think, is the idea is actually, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's like if you can build these experiences that are much more realistic feeling and much more connective in their engagement than like a flat face on a screen or a bunch of squares in a Zoom call, then it's theoretically better. But when you try these experiences now, you're wearing this big plastic headset on your face and it's uncomfortable and the graphics aren't that good and the mics are like, the audio isn't as good, it's further from your face. And like suddenly you're like, well, this isn't actually better. But there is companies that believe if we pour enough money into this and make it better and better and better, eventually it will actually be a no-brainer to do the metaverse version every time.
Yeah.
And so they're dedicating themselves to being at the forefront of that new thing.
It's a big dedication to come this early. I think one of the biggest issues right now with even just the outskirts of people trying to believe into this is I still just don't feel like VR in general is that well known. People aren't that familiar with VR. It's still getting to the point where I'll give someone the Quest 2 that I have and like they go into it and they have the best time ever. But to navigate even through like the beginning menus of to tell someone how to do Beat Saber is a learning experience. And while they enjoy it, the familiarity of VR is just not there with, I would probably argue, 90% of the human population that would even think about doing any of this. And like, if I almost want to take it a step back, an IT department, they will stick to like a Windows version until it basically runs out of support because users get so used to something. They don't, when I worked, Windows 10 was out for like 3 years at the IT place I worked for. Have all of our users were on XP or 7. Having people completely just shut down because they have like a new Windows or OS upgrade. Like imagine now being like, hey, here's your VR headset. Enjoy, like, this is how you're going to take meetings now. The unfamiliarity with all of it feels like a total nightmare in businesses. And I think still making VR more easily available for like gaming and stuff and more extracurricular activities would then help people get more familiar with it. And then maybe you could take those steps into the enterprise world.
Yeah. I guess the way I framed it in the video is like games is one of the things you can do in VR.
Incredible.
And it's one of the most fun, universally like great first experiences. But let's say you look at these headsets, there's still like a big clunky thing on your face. There's a battery hanging off of it, and like it's not, the battery life is only an hour. But fast forward to the future, you have this super lightweight headset. It's maybe it's just a pair of glasses that can do all the same stuff, just theoretical future tech. And the graphics are dramatically better and smoother and more immersive, and it's just an amazing graphical experience. Then suddenly it makes sense. It's like, oh, it's actually a better version of a meeting than a Zoom call is today.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the future they're betting on.
I think
getting to.
Audio, big thing there too. If they can get like crisp audio, might be one of the like most annoying parts of any teleconferencing ever, because just like that constant just screech every once in a while or something cutting out. Like in real life, you don't ever go like, oh, I'm sorry, your mouth kept moving, but I didn't hear any of the words that came out of your mouth.
I was distracted by the glitching lips. What is happening?
So I really do think, like, I don't want to just say the metaverse sucks, because I do want there to be innovation. I think right now the metaverse sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for where it goes. And I'm hoping that when I'm old, I was going to say when my knees don't work, but that's probably like a couple years away. So, but when I'm much older and can't really get around, like, I'm excited for the metaverse to be a thing, hopefully then. So then, like, I get to experience some things still.
Do you remember the Project Starline demo did at Google I/O, where it was like, it looked like a guy like talking to a mirror, but then he could like make eye contact with a virtual. You remember this?
That looks like a weird indie horror movie.
It kind of does look like a horror movie, but it's like you are having a video call with someone who is somewhere else in the world, but the video call will look extremely realistic. You'll be able to make direct eye contact with the person, and it'll have this 3D element where you can move around and see angles the way you would if you were in real life with someone. That's another like background thing in the back of my head where I'm like, what if these headsets just aren't it? What if the whole metaverse thing would be like looking into a virtual space, or just like a huge virtual window instead of just a headset? I don't even know.
I kind of like the AR way of like maybe glasses that can produce some sort of hologram of something. Like if I'm in my room, in my space, but all I have to do is wear a pair of glasses, and then you can be there in a sort of hologram and feel like you're there.
Interesting.
That feels kind of like maybe an in-between, but I also kind of like ultimately in the perfect world where it all makes sense and you can have a fully immersive VR experience without being uncomfortable and all those things, then in that scenario, it's like, but I want to create the atmosphere inside it. So then full VR kind of makes sense. I don't know. I like go back and forth on this whole way in the future. This is going to be really cool, but like all of the things right now are doing a horrific job at like showing it off.
The gap. Some people might call it a gap between where we're at and where we want to be. It's more of like a canyon. Like a giant chasm of like
with like alligators in the bottom.
It's going to take billions of dollars to cross this canyon. But, you know, a couple companies are spending the money. So
yes. So I want to say there is hope for the metaverse. Right now, all of me talking about, I'm not even going to call it the metaverse. I'm just going to talk about VR because VR gaming is so much fun and I've been having an absolute blast with it.
Have you seen
lately.
the people making comparisons to other non-VR games? There's people who are just like, they're so down on the metaverse. They're like, look at the graphics of VR games and then look at the graphics of all the games we love. Okay. And they're like, graphics in the metaverse suck.
They've never played VR then.
That's, the immersion matters.
And maybe this doesn't help with I think immersion helps more when you're trying to just do like a meeting. It feels more, but like when you're in a game and you're really super focused on something, that doesn't quite matter. Super hot is literally like three colors.
Stick figures.
It's red, basically polygon like people. It's white and then black. Mm-hmm. And I have literally fallen on my face playing super hot because I thought I could like lean onto something.
It's so immersive.
It's insanely immersive. So I want VR to come to more people because it's such a fun experience, but I like it in the gaming and not professional way right now.
I feel it. Well,
it's not a very hot take at all.
We'll keep an eye on it. The video's out there. Who cares about the metaverse? Lock it down 2022. We're at the beginning of the chasm. We'll see how long it takes to get to the other side. Facebook might run out of money by the end. A lot of people would be happy about that. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. All right, let's take another quick break and another trivia question. Then we'll come back and talk about smartphones and play a little game.
All right.
Your watch?
My watch found The Love Is Real by Chasm.
Siri. Before we even start, would we still say Siri is the most accidentally triggered?
100%.
Dude, they made a joke about it in Hocus Pocus 2. I watched it last night.
It's got to be, by percentage, the most accidentally used piece of tech people own.
It's the only time people use Siri.
Yeah. I set
Sorry,
timers with it. I set timers with it sometimes. I do.
Cool.
I use
timer.
It. Yeah.
World Cup soccer's this November, right now, or in a little bit.
Football.
Yeah.
What was the first FIFA World Cup to be fully filmed, every single match?
In 8K.
In 4K.
In 4K.
Oh, in 4K?
I don't remember.
Bonus question, if you could name who won that World Cup.
I can't. I don't know that one. I just don't know that. But I can think about the 4K thing.
Yeah, we'll accept either the place it was played in or the year.
Won't know the place either.
That's okay.
Wait. I'm just going to toss something else out here. Do you remember what now pretty common smartphone feature was kind of announced by a phone partnership with a World Cup event? Under display fingerprint was like the Vivo Next 2020, I think, and it was like they released it with a ton of advertising at one of the World Cups.
World Cup, that's so random.
We got invited to it. World Cup Russia, was that like?
That's
4
such
years
a
ago?
weird.
I thought it was very strange, and I thought it was very interesting.
It's strange for a fingerprint scanner to be advertised at a sport where the only thing you're not allowed to do is use your hands.
Fair. I think it was mostly that it was the phone, but back then, that's when Vivo were the people who were just like. They weren't very popular, but they always like did those really innovative things.
Yeah, under display camera, under stuff. Yeah. Well,
sorry, sidetrack that one a little bit.
I know the 8K one. I don't know if I know the 4K. No, wait, broadcast? No, there is no 8K one. Okay,
yeah,
I think I know the answer then. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Be right back. This episode is sponsored by Indeed. So if you've ever had to struggle with the clunky hiring interfaces where your candidates had to download software just for an interview, Indeed wants to tell you about their virtual interview tool. Indeed is a hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And with virtual interviews, you can message, schedule, and interview top talent from one platform. That makes it easy to connect with your applicants.
And the best part is, no need to install anything extra. It just works from your browser. We all love that. We all hate trying to teach people how to download new applications. And you don't have to make your candidates jump through hoops either. The virtual interview tool means there's nothing to download. Just click and talk.
Indeed knows that when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. So that's why when you sponsor a job, you only pay for quality applicants with resumes in their database matching your job description. So you can visit Indeed.com/waveform to start hiring now. That's Indeed.com/waveform. Indeed.com/waveform. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
All right, welcome back. I have, in our last segment, a little... maybe game, maybe just brain teaser. I don't know. And it was I don't know how to describe it. It was a Reddit thread that I found very interesting, and then I just want to broaden it a little bit, and I think it could be a fun discussion.
Sure.
The thread was: does anyone else think phones with squeezable sides were great? Okay, fun. We already disagree.
Did you hear that in the mic? I shook my head so hard my headphones almost came off.
Yeah. But I wanted to take this as: are there any features that are missing in phones that we used to have that maybe we miss? Or if you want to take it one step further, features we used to have in tech that are now gone that we miss. But I also want to start with, I do miss squeezable sides.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Did you enjoy using them? Or do you like the idea of them?
No, I liked them. I liked the best time I used them.
Oh, you're talking about the squeeze, not the buttons, but the squeezable
No, not squeezable buttons. Okay.
I went
very
down the path. I pictured remember the U11?
I was going to say, I think squeezable buttons are the reason HTC doesn't make phones anymore because they failed so bad on that.
They fell on their face there. So
they did do squeezable sides,
assistant.
Or I think it could even just be like squeeze for a customizable quick action.
I found it okay.
I liked being able to, if I were like going out on my Pixel 3 when I had it, if it were cold out and I had gloves going to the car, I could just like on my way out, grab my phone, squeeze it and be like, text Claire, I'm on my way home. And
Gloves
just like
is
very easily be able to like throw out a couple really quick text messages without having to do any unlocking or anything like that, which I really liked.
Yeah.
One scenario.
But I believe you can also just say the hot word and do that.
I don't like having lock screen hot word activated. I think this is Google's own problem, but I don't know if you see this too. You use Google Assistant, like Google Home at home, right? Yeah. So like I have found it just does not work very well. And it seems to be like whichever device in my house can get to the question first, that's where I'll play through. And sometimes my phone seems to beat my Google Homes, and I hate when that happens at home.
Sometimes it asks me, like I'll be testing a new phone and I'll say the hot word out loud for the first time, and the phone will answer when I didn't want it to, but then a little pop-up will say, hey, did the correct device answer that you were expecting to answer? And I hit no, and then usually it fixes itself.
Yeah.
So when I'm in the room with the assistant speaker answers.
I still have I've had some issues still with all that happen. I mean, I still even have issues where if I'm in my living room, my kitchen Google Home picks me up and I just hear that, like, I hear that far away. Cause we don't have like full doors. We just have like entryways, I guess, throughout that. It's close enough, but that's why I liked the squeeze version of it as one of them instead of lock screen. Cause I usually have that disabled because my house likes to play Ring Around the Rosie of who gets to answer it.
It makes sense. For gloves, it makes sense. I like swiping up from the corner. And I use a hot word for talking to it, but I can swipe up from the corner to get the assistant anywhere, which is good enough for me.
I think you can also... Can you long hold power button within lock screen?
Some phones, yes.
I should know this.
Okay,
it does.
Yes, Pixel will do it. Some phones, like the Zen phone, will give you an ability to do it if you want to, which is... God, the Zen phone is so good. A lot of phones, that's not one of the options. Samsung, Bixby. But yeah, that is a thing I could say we miss in phones. I think there's a lot of obvious answers that I can already see the commenters typing, like the headphone jack.
Yeah.
Or front-facing stereo speakers, like boom sound speakers.
Fair. The headphone jack one... It's so far gone. Yeah, like good speakers are definitely one of them. Google kind of brought it back this time, and I'm sure some other phones do it, but like an a real ultra wide selfie camera was something I was surprised they took away. It's coming back. Then there are like on top of that, MacBooks finally brought back SD card slots, which is like crazy. Are we in this trend of now like they took it away and now they're bringing it back?
There's, most companies don't like to admit when they were wrong, and they won't even say out loud that they were wrong. But when they bring back something that they previously made a big deal about getting rid of, you can tell they know that they were wrong, and that's good enough for me.
You know what you did.
know
So I was trying to think of like maybe some other phone feature that was less obvious. I feel like Adam's got one.
Fingerprint sensor on the back.
On the back,
Not on the display.
A bunch of phones in a row for a couple of years when I was in college all had a little dimple in the back of the phone, and you would put your index finger right, like that's kind of like you just instantly.
Yeah, it's like it naturally sits there.
I
Yeah,
hate that
and
we're
that
talking
is
about
unlocked.
that like it's a decade ago.
A couple years ago.
It wasn't that long ago, but we're talking
6
about it
years
like
ago.
the good old days where like you had to walk to school and
Back in my day, I had a Pixel 4a, and
It was like 6 to 9 years ago. There were a bunch of phones that all did it.
yeah, I love
And
them.
then we got some on the side, and then they obviously moved to the front and then under the display. But that's a good one.
I like on the side also. I'm very surprised we don't see that more often. It seems. Would you argue it's cheaper than in display?
Oh, it's cheaper,
It's
yeah. for
still
sure.
tough. Like it's tougher than on the back because it's still a really small area. But like the power button,
It would just always be faster, and like I guess it would be an extra thing to put on the phone as like a special area. They all like having the smooth glass back now, and they don't really do that little.
oh, you're
dimple as
talking
much.
about a back one or
back one.
the like side?
Power button. I think that's easy to do.
Yeah, I don't know why more people don't do it. It's like Zenfone, one of the only people.
Yeah, right
Doing
now,
it now?
yeah, it reminds me of the S10e back in the day.
Yeah,
Am I
Claire
old?
still uses that
But yeah,
and
that,
loves it.
and the swiping even you could have it do that. Yeah. No, there's a couple phones that do it, and the Zenfone's one of them. But I actually was just about to say, I remember when we had that theory, which was like, you have the under display fingerprint reader now, and it's kind of small. It's just a little circle, and you can miss it easily.
yeah.
But aren't they supposed to get bigger and bigger until it's like the whole bottom half of the phone, and you just like slap anywhere on the bottom half of the phone and it reads it? That just didn't happen.
No,
Not at all.
it hasn't even really inched much closer.
They haven't gotten meaningfully bigger or faster.
Would
in
you
a
argue
while.
that got like stifled from, hey, here's this, but like very quickly finding out that under display was not as secure. So then everyone focused way more on security, which meant keeping precision and less, because like the old OnePlus fingerprint sensors that were just like
Yeah.
pretty easily fooled. You could probably throw that anywhere on the screen pretty easily. But now when you have to do these ultrasonic, very precise, secure ones.
I think it's actually cost. I think it's actually
Yeah.
just like having a huge sensor that big behind the display glass that works is a very expensive technology. And we just haven't found a way. Like if you were the smartphone company that could take the standard size one or take the one that's 20% bigger, and you can't really make a huge deal about it being 20% bigger because most people won't notice, you'll probably just take the standard size one. And so now we're just stuck with a bunch of standard size ones, and nobody's willing to like actually make a bigger and bigger one. Then there's like, once in a while, there's like a concept phone where it's like, yeah, both your thumbs anywhere on the bottom half. It's super secure because it's 2 fingers, and it's anywhere on the bottom half, so it's super fast. And you're like, yes, that's the future. But it never happens. We're not getting there. That's one of the things for my list.
Interesting.
I do stand by that the HTC M1, HTC One M1,
One M8.
yes, HTC, but specifically the Google Play edition.
Oh,
HTC
Google Play. Yeah.
One.
My whole point in this podcast is just to see how many times you can bring back Google Play Edition so we can eventually bring back Google Play
That was such a
Edition.
good phone. 2014, I reviewed this phone. Favorite phone, probably of all time. That's tough. I mean, it's maybe not number one, but it's easily top 5 favorite phones of all time for me.
Okay, what about a feature or something that you hope never comes back? That is dead.
Fake buttons.
Fake buttons, like
I
what we were talking
hated
about
that.
before.
Oh my god.
Fake buttons.
I don't know why. I feel like there's a bunch of Samsung seems to really love just like swinging for the fences on accessories and missing. Do you remember like the bikini case for
Yeah,
the Samsung S8?
S10, S8?
I think it was
might have been
S8,
S8.
and they also then had that. it was the keyboard you could put on the front of the phone. And it would like basically be tapping the screen. I
block
think
half your
Oh
but
my
then now you
God.
had a BlackBerry keyboard.
But
on
now you
your
had a
Samsung
BlackBerry
phone.
keyboard.
Yeah, that doesn't have to come back. The thing is, I
Did
think
you
fake
not?
buttons are going to come back, which is
I think it's inevitable they come back.
they're going to try it again. They're going to get.
I hope never comes back.
What?
The rollerball. Do you remember like the Nexus 1?
Oh man,
back in the day?
Oh, a trackball.
the
Yeah,
HTC
like a little
Droid Aris
trackball
had
thing.
one.
I never got to daily a phone with a trackball. I
was
kind
not
of
a
like
good
the
time.
idea.
Did
Is
you?
it?
The Aris had one. The thing was, it was touchscreen already, so like you never used
Yeah,
it.
the Nexus One, same thing.
Yeah.
and the T-Mobile G1 also had one. I never got to daily any of those phones.
Oh, okay.
I had the Droid, which had a D-pad and a touchscreen.
Yeah, but you never used the D-pad for like selecting apps
I think
or
I
stuff
did
like that,
for
right?
texts.
For-
I think if I
fair.
go to landscape and I was like just on the keyboard, then I would use the D-pad to move around.
That's a good point. Also, the ball on the Aris would be okay for like back then. It wasn't quite as easy where if you're texting and then you realize like, oh, I made a mistake to just touch it. Like
Yeah.
rolling back on the ball through characters was much easier.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that coming back.
Bring it back.
I don't think.
Where would
it's-
it go?
I don't think modern phones would do it because it's not waterproof or like.
Yeah.
it's not actually feasible to
And
bring
we
it
have
back.
a full screen. Like where on earth
Yeah.
would it go?
It wouldn't have much utility. It's not coming back.
I would imagine. Have you ever used like a mouse with an iPad?
Yeah, like the floating.
Yeah, you know how like the
Pointer?
little dot moves. I think it would like snap around like that.
Yeah.
And I would hate that.
So you're saying add it to the iPad? Add a little roller
There we
ball to
go.
the side of the iPad. That would
iPad
really
Ultra.
truly compete the most confusing lineup of iPads of all time. They make a new one and it just has a little roller ball on the side. And you're like, which iPad is this?
They could make it waterproof if it was like an under display rollerball.
Oh
like
my
the
God.
screen just has a little bulge in it at
What
one
if,
point.
what if they just add the Lenovo rubber
The little red
the
nipple.
ThinkPad
yeah, the
joystick?
ThinkPad
the
joystick.
Yeah.
The joyless stick.
On the corner of the
There
iPad.
we go. New iPad coming at you.
You hold it by the edge, right by the lightning port or whatever iPad you're using, and just use the joystick all the time.
All right,
That's not coming back.
no, that's oh man. Somebody like Unnecessary Inventions has to make that or something like
That's
that.
perfect.
That
Perfect for
that
that.
would be wonderful.
Bring back 30 pin.
Oh geez, let's go to trivia.
Let's go to trivia.
We're just trying to get tech canceled here.
Okay, on the heels of that beautiful hot take,
30 pin.
let's get the boards ready.
Yup.
So the score: Marquez 10, Andrew 9.
Is this one where we get like a point per?
Yep. So this
Okay.
question: who are the top
yeah.
3 most followed accounts on Twitter? You get 1 point per person that you get correct.
Do we just name 3 people, or do we have to go in order? And then is it wrong if it's in the wrong
No, you
order?
can just name 3 people.
Okay.
I have a list of like 6 people that I know are extremely popular, and I just don't know what order to try to put them in the top 3.
Yeah, I have like 2. I have 1 I'm pretty sure of. 1 I think.
Does it
I'm
have to be
sure
a
of.
person?
It
can
doesn't
I-
have to be, but I
accounts?
will help you out. It is 3 people. Yeah.
'Cause I'm pretty sure the @Twitter account is
I don't think that
Not
actually
as
has
much,
that
no.
much.
more than the @Twitter account. People have more followers than @Twitter.
Isn't like the Instagram account not have that many followers?
on Instagram?
Yeah.
I think it has a lot.
Oh, really?
I think it's like top 5.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Twitter has 64.7 million followers.
Oh, okay.
Not even
That's-
close to top 3.
Oh,
What if it was 3 like totally random people? Like
oh God.
it's Chef Emerald, Rudy Gobert.
And your grandma.
Oh, wait. When did you write this question?
5 minutes before recording.
Okay.
I have also noticed that number going up.
No.
Marquez is not on the list, by the way.
No?
No.
Okay. Soon.
Soon.
Someday.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Ready?
All right,
Yep.
wait. You want to flip them around and then
Yeah, we'll
who
just
wants to
flip
read
'em.
them first?
Marquez can read
Okay.
first.
Okay.
So flipped.
Wow. Oh.
Oh.
Is Trump on Twitter?
That's why I was asking. He's back.
Oh.
Okay, Marquez, what are your replies?
So my 3 are Barack Obama. Okay, that's good. Cristiano Ronaldo and Elon Musk.
2 out of 3.
I got
Okay.
Andrew?
Well, unless Trump's the other one, then
Nope.
yeah. He just came back, and I thought maybe with all that's going on Twitter, that could have skyrocketed recently.
Musk went from
Musk
like
is number
90
one,
to
isn't he?
110.
Yeah, so the top 3, former President Barack Obama,
Number 1, right?
133.4 at number
Yeah.
1.
Yep.
Canadian treasure Justin Bieber is number 2.
On Twitter?
113.8 million.
Oh God.
And then number 3, the chief twit himself, Elon Musk, with 112.9.
Oh no,
Dude, he had 110
oh,
yesterday.
Trump's not back on
Oh
Twitter.
yeah, he's back on now.
really
No, not
thought
Trump. I mean, yeah, he got to, what is that? 2,000? 2 million?
2 million in 2
my
days.
God, that's
He had 110 million yesterday.
Oh my god. Yeah,
He'll probably be number
112.9
one
now.
in not that long.
Yeah, give it a month.
It only took $44 billion to be the
Well,
most
I put
followed
someone who's not
person
even on Twitter anymore, so I lost that one.
So I got 2 points. You got,
I
you got one of them. All right.
Yep, so the score now, Marquez 12, Andrew 10. So the next question. What was the first FIFA World Cup to be fully filmed in 4K?
Okay.
Bonus question if you could say who won.
wait. Can I clarify something?
Sure.
Like broadcast in 4K or filmed in 4K?
I'm going to go with broadcast in 4K.
Yeah, broadcast 4K. Also, this is the men's World Cup.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
And-
question as well.
I guess not to get like way too pedantic.
Let's
but
get in there.
It's the World Cup of handball, right?
It's the world. Yeah, it's the World Cup of the upcoming World Cup. They are broadcasting in 4K, but it's not native 4K. They're upscaling 1080p for some games to 4K.
Oh, that's terrible.
The World Cup that this question is about was natively filmed in 4K.
Yeah. I think
I really wanted to write trick
Whoa.
question because I didn't think it happened yet, but I think enough of these are.
Ooh, one. It's a country that would win
Correct. It is a country.
the
It's just who won.
It what?
the
There's
year.
who won?
Just identifying the World Cup in general.
Yeah. The World Cup.
Oh man, I feel like we're gonna
And
make so
then-
many people mad because we're not good football
A
fans.
bonus point is who won.
Okay.
So you could get a maximum of 2 points with this
I
question.
don't think that's right. That's not right. I would have known if it. No.
Also, just while Marcus is figuring this out, Waka Waka by Shakira is like one of the best songs ever. Just saying. It was for a World Cup a long time ago, but it slaps.
While back. It's
Also,
It slaps.
Kanan
Kanan?
waving flag.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
a good
remember
one,
that.
yeah.
That's a good
that was
one.
like 2010.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
I want the extra point. There's no shot.
Do you want a hint at the extra point?
No.
Sure.
No?
You don't?
I have a guess. I don't know if it's right, but
It was not the USA.
I wasn't gonna.
spoiler.
Yeah, not really a
We
hint.
were not even close. There's no shot.
We're coming for this year. Did we even make it?
We do have a good
Oh,
we do
yeah.
have a good young team this year, but we'll see.
I've said that about the
TBD.
Devils for like a decade.
World Cup winner. Let's go with that. Okay.
All right.
Um,
Ready to flip?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, wait. So Marquez, what was your answer?
I said the 2018 World Cup. Okay.
Oh,
And then I
wait.
said Portugal won.
Nope. So you get 1 point.
Okay.
Andrew,
I said the Russian World Cup.
which was in
Okay.
2018. Yeah. So
Oh, I did not
Wait,
know
isn't
it
that
was in
6
Russia.
years ago?
4 years ago.
Every 4.
It's every 4.
But 2018 was 6 years ago.
2022.
I'm an idiot. I'm glad math wasn't on this.
You had
And
me
I wrote-
questioning
you just
myself.
got-
I was like, what just
I wrote
happened?
Germany won.
Nope, not Germany. It was
That's
France.
a good guess though, right?
It was a good guess.
Germany's
Germany has a good
good.
team.
What year
Yeah.
was
Who did they
the?
beat? Do you know who was in the final?
That's a great question. Let me see.
When did Germany beat Brazil 7-1?
Oh, I remember watching that.
I
Everyone was
just
very
remember.
mad at that. And I think I was at like a CTY camp.
It was France v Croatia.
Oh,
Wow,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Good for them.
Yeah.
can't
Okay,
believe I
so
thought
you
that was
each
6
got
years
1 point.
can you
Okay.
cut out the part of me thinking it was 6 years ago? And if not, can you cut out the part of me asking to cut out the part of me thinking it was 6 years
We're
ago?
going to do a slow zoom on your face for both you thinking it was 6 years ago and then asking to take out that you thought it was 6 years ago. Perfect.
Soccer fans, we love you. BTS stands, we
Football.
love
You
you.
love them,
Everyone,
you wouldn't call it soccer. You
man,
wouldn't.
I got canceled in my
Yeah,
apology.
there it is. It's in the comments.
All right.
Well, that's been it for this week of Waveform and figuring out which World Cup was broadcast in 4K. We appreciate you listening and subscribing, of course. Now that we have a beautiful new subscribe button, you should definitely hit that button. And until the next one, happy tweeting.
Not for long. Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Rovin. We are partnered with Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro-outro music was created by Vane Still.